Yeah, baby. That's how we started up in here. What is going on, everybody? And welcome to our spoiler review of Top Gun Maverick, the sequel in the 30-year making. And I totally meant to turn that down, but you know what? I totally fucked that up, and I take ownership of that, guys, because that's the main theme of this movie. It's really not, but guys, it's crazy sitting here 30 years later to think I wasn't even here 30 years ago talking about a sequel that Tom Cruise made at, I don't want to say the peak of his fame, but what made him become peak famous. Because I think when the first movie came out, Tom Cruise couldn't get any more famous, or at least it didn't seem possible. If you look at all the box, it was not a massive success in the box office either, or critically at least, when the first one came out with Tony Scott. And Loretto, I got a little cool fun fact that I told Amanda about Tony Scott, the director of the first one, that I'm sure you might have known, but who knows? But yeah, if you guys didn't know, this first movie, Top Gun, came out in 1984, right, Loretto? Why do you look so scared? Oh my God.
Sorry, there was some loud noises emanating from to the right of me, but it's actually 86.
You were giving me a heart. Okay, what? Oh my God, you were giving me a heart attack. I was kind of scared. I'm like, oh my God, bro, we about to watch you get butchered on stream. Because honestly, that'd be great for views, but like that would not do good for my memory. But
yeah, it was actually 86, and
yeah,
I wouldn't say he was at his peak of his powers either, but he was right in the middle of it because Risky Business came out maybe 3 years prior, so he was already kind of like a hot commodity at that time.
Like I said, I think this is the movie that really just put him to peak fame. For some reason, critically, it wasn't well received, but over time, this is a movie that helped supplement or smash down the name a cult hit, because this movie really didn't get famous until the 90s or something, or it really didn't get traction until it came out on VHS, and it really wasn't generally well received or well regarded when it was in the theater, which is kind of crazy because you watch it in 2022 and it screams 80s. It just screams 80s, and it's a fun ride, but it's too 80s. And I wonder if they just realized that back in the time. They're like, bro, this is just gonna be fucking annoying in the future. Because Tom Cruise's unibrow, nah, that's a whole another video we could do in Tom Cruise's unibrow within those two films, Risky Business. Tom Cruise. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track, but guys, what is going on? And welcome for joining us. I just want to reiterate before we get into this film, this is a spoiler film, and if you guys have not seen it or really just don't give a shit all around, welcome. And I hope you guys did. I love this movie so much. I'm just gonna say right now. But before we get deep into it, what is everyone's general thoughts on this movie? Because I do want to say this is a very highly anticipated film, other than the 30-year gap, because this film was supposed to come out, I think, May of 2020, 2 months shy. The COVID pandemic started, and it got pushed back 2 years. It got pushed back 2 years, and that I'm gonna say the same thing when we talk about Mission Impossible next year, but that's besides the point. But yeah, guys, this movie's finally here. Tom Cruise talks nothing but high expectations about this film, and honestly, the COVID protocol stories with Tom Cruise yelling at the production behind the scenes, it's funny. I just can't help but laugh at it. But guys, we're here about it. Loretto. I know you. Yeah, bro, I'm talking about you because I know your ADD is going all over the place, you motherfucker. It's fine. I'm refocusing you, bro. I'm putting you in the danger zone right now. That's what I'm doing. But I know you love the first one so much. How did you feel going into this? What was your anticipation like going into this? And what are your overall thoughts and general opinions on Top Gun Maverick?
So, funny story. I'm actually on the other side of this. Me and Amanda talked about it yesterday. I'm not a big fan of the original, actually. I like the theme song more than I like the original film. But Val Kilmer is amazing.
I thought you
and
wait.
Anthony...
I swear to God, you told me you were a massive fan of the first one.
No, I was just really excited for this one because it looked good. But
No way.
not being a fan of the original, Maverick instantly grabbed my attention from the get-go. It was just a perfect balance of honoring the previous film and honoring the legacy characters that obviously in this day and age in 2022, legacy and nostalgia is going to be with us forever. We're going to acknowledge the 80s and 90s for the next 20, 30 years, it feels like. But with that being said, though, Joseph Kaczynski and everyone they brought on to help with the script, I think even Christopher McQuarrie from the Mission Impossible series was helping with the script. They did a really good job of balancing the emotion of Maverick just kind of being like the last dinosaur of this aviation team. Like, he's on his way out. You know, the Navy's telling him they're moving to AI. They're getting rid of pilots at some point, and he's not going to be relevant. But just giving him his last hurrah, honoring Goose, honoring Iceman, and then also bringing in this likable young cast that admittedly didn't get enough screen time in my opinion, but they were charming and likable enough to invest into the story and the mission that we get to in the final act. I could not take my smile off my face in the final 15 or 20 minutes. I got choked up twice. I got choked up today. I went to round 2 today in Dolby Cinema with blazing sound and just, dazzling images on the silver screen, like Nicole Kidman would like to say. It's a hell of a ride. It's a hell of an experience. It's truly exhilarating. If you watch this in IMAX, Dolby, Atmos, 4DX, X Cinemark XD, doesn't matter. If you watch this with the best sound, the biggest screen possible, it is worth the ticket. This is what summer blockbusters are all about. And the Kaczynski does a really good job of framing that action and making you feel like you're flying with Tom Cruise and the rest of the pilots. I really enjoyed Maverick. It's a miles ahead of the first film. No offense, Tony Scott, R.I.P. He's a great filmmaker, but I enjoyed this experience a lot more than the first.
So, Loretto, I got to ask you a question. Did you know that Tony Scott is Ridley Scott's brother? He knew it.
Again, we actually talked about this yesterday.
Well, you did.
I knew this. I was trying to figure out if he was the younger brother or not, but I think I was right. He's the younger brother, right?
I think so. But I only found that out I want to say a month ago, or no, 3 weeks ago. I thought that was the craziest fucking idea in my head. The dude who made Top Gun and Alien. Man. Yeah, that's insane. But what about you, Amanda? What are some of your general thoughts? What is your connection to Top Gun? Give it all.
God. Well, first off, I have this shirt that I bought, and it says Maverick at the back, so I'm really happy with that. I'm obsessed with Top Gun. I watch it annually on Top Gun Day, which is May 13th. And I just love it. It feels like a perfect summer movie, the original, and I think that the sequel really captured the same essence and made it so much bigger and better. I think for me it was the emotional connection to Rooster and Goose, and Miles Teller did a fantastic job being Anthony Edwards' son. They look exactly alike, and I feel like in this sequel they didn't play too much into the nostalgia and the memory of the first Top Gun. I think that they did a pretty good job in just making a perfect storyline for Maverick in this case, and not overdoing it to for callbacks. I thought the little touch with the flashbacks when Rooster's at the piano and then he sees flashbacks to his dad, I think that was just a nice touch, and it wasn't too much. Of course, when you see those action scenes and that these actors actually went to flight school, they're in the cockpit, the IMAX cameras are there too, it just adds so much to the flying. You feel like you're in there with them. So again, that elevates the experience entirely. But literally, this was my second time watching it tonight. I was sweating, literally drenched, because it's just so intense. And on a second watch, I didn't think that I would feel those emotions again. And knowing what happens and you're still put in there because the stakes are so high and they make you feel that is just wicked. So it's a perfect summer movie. I think it's one of the best sequels ever made. And Tom Cruise is amazing, fam. He's just so good with these movies. So I was impressed with it.
So I want to get this one thing out of the way.
Oh God,
No, it's not Oh God.
it is.
Because I love this movie. It's easily my favorite movie of 2022 so far. It's up there, baby. But I gotta say, the whole idea of needing like this heterosexual relationship with Jennifer Connelly just felt very unneeded and just like they wanted to run out the runtime when I felt like they could have delved a little bit deeper into Maverick and Rooster's story. Because you got the conflict of Maverick taking Rooster out of pilot school, but then also feeling guilty for his father's death at the same time. And I feel like there's two things that emotionally that Maverick is going through. Like I couldn't even imagine going through those two things. And the way they played out throughout the film is he tried to be the father figure after Goose died in between these films. And you never get a real good sense of that between the two of them. You get the idea of it, but I never felt that they had this father-son relationship. But by the end, you started to feel it a little bit more because you do see them not clashing heads, but you see them on level with each other. But before that, you never really see them interact in a friendly manner or in the father-son manner that Maverick says that he's been trying, that he tried to be there for Rooster, or Bradley, as his name is. And his mother just dying too. I know they probably can get Meg Ryan back for this movie, but I feel like they probably could have touched on that. I feel like there was a few things with that relationship that could have been touched on a lot more, and the Jennifer Connelly stuff seemed to take up this time that didn't feel emotionally investing enough for me. The acting was so good, but they didn't have the chemistry. The whole Jennifer Connelly character, they talk about this past that they had, but all I keep thinking about is his first movie. I forgot the name of the actress that played the love interest in that movie. Loretto, hit it with me.
Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis, yeah. Like they didn't bring Kelly McGillis back, so you don't have that relationship. So they're trying to introduce this whole love that in continuity with the story has already happened, but they build off of a love story that we don't have any connection to. And it kind of just fell flat for me, especially with the ending that made me kind of confused. He went back to the bar and was just like, where is she? The old man's like, oh, she left to take her daughter on a boat sailing trip. But then she shows up at the hangar. Was that like planned between the two of them? Was he supposed to be surprised? I didn't fully understand that. I'm like, I get what you guys are trying to go for from a writing standpoint, but just structurally, story-wise, character-wise, it didn't make sense. None of it didn't feel rewarding that I felt we would have gotten from the Rooster storyline, because well, Miles Teller might be an odd fellow in person, dude. He's a phenomenal actor, and he did an awesome job in this. And I just wanted to have more time between him and Tom Cruise, because there could have been some powerhouse performance moments in these movies. These scenes. No.
I need to ask a question. What would you have added between Rooster and Maverick that wasn't like enough?
I told you.
Like,
what do you mean?
No, like you're saying powerhouse, but powerhouse performances. I think that they also did that in this. Like I don't know what more they could have added.
Reflect on his childhood, because they just talk about, oh, you took this away from me because you felt guilty for my dad. That's about it. When they just say, hey, Maverick, or Maverick saying to the audience, or I forgot whoever the character was, that he tried to be the father figure, and I don't feel that weight.
Well, I think part of the issue, and I do agree with you.
They could have had a really good emotional scene of just going through moments or talking about how he was there and how the relationship changed from that, how he would call from every day or because he unenrolled without asking any question. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like story standpoint.
So I agree with you, but also to piggyback on Amanda's thought, I think what the filmmakers were trying to do was just imply that they were close before. Because in the first film, we see him sitting on the piano with Goose and a younger Maverick, and they're all hanging out. So I think we're assuming that, you know, that his childhood was spent with Maverick even after his father died. I think that's the assumption. And then we build up to that moment right after the training brief where Miles Teller almost fights Glenn Powell, Hangman. And then he's like, why did you pull me out of the academy? So I think like we built up to that moment, and that was kind of like that moment that you're looking for emotionally. But I think that I agree with you. I think that maybe just one flashback of a younger
That's
Miles
what I'm saying.
Teller
Just like
hanging out with like Tom Cruise would have been cool, you know. And then when we see him cold, right? Then we kind of feel like, oh shit, something happened. You know, I agree with you in that sense. So
I don't know.
Because like
it was fine.
I said this to Amanda, I felt like towards the end it got a little Mission Impossible or more Rambo-esque, especially with the Apache helicopter and the wooden, just the falling down tree in the middle of the field. And I know he's hiding behind something, but bro, if an Apache helicopter is shooting at you through a tree with 2 machine gun turrets, like, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that hinders anything, but I'm just like, bro, this is the most Rambo shit ever. It's so funny. And I'm just like, okay, this is cool. It felt like it needed to add action when it really didn't need to, because I felt like the entire scene of them going through the mountain and going through the mission was already so exhilarating that having that emotional punch at the end would have tipped it off nice. But I felt like it kind of dragged on a little bit in a sense that, oh look, we need to have these characters come together because we put in this fucking love story that's really not going to go anywhere later in the film. And I feel like that's where they could have compromised, where they put a love interest that isn't going to go anywhere to building up.
But it did go somewhere though, because it did go somewhere. What are you saying? It didn't go anywhere, the love interest? It did go somewhere.
And also, I feel like the moment we get with Rooster and Maverick at the end where they're in the F-14 together, just like with his dad, that was awesome. Like, don't take that from me. Like, that was fantastic.
In agreement with you guys on that.
That was awesome.
You know what it is?
One scene, because I just think there was no need for a love interest in this movie, because I felt like the whole story was there with Rooster and Maverick.
Right, but at the same time, to emulate the first Top Gun, it was literally a little bit of everything. So you needed to.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Why does it have to emulate that? I know it's a sequel to that, but like.
But you have to show that he was going around with all these women. It's the same. It's like who he is. It's Maverick. Like, you have to show that he hasn't changed, but now he's going to change for her. He's going to change for Rooster. It's a character.
But see, that goes back to my point. Why is he going to change for her? Because they just said they dated and he bailed on her?
No, he's old as shit, and he wants to settle down, and he finds his place in the world.
That's what I got from it.
No, I get it. I'm just saying. No. I'm not saying I don't get it. I'm just saying I don't think it's fleshed out well enough. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey, really quick, let's say what's up to everybody. Wesley thinks this could possibly be his #1 film of the year. Thanks for joining us, Wesley. Thanks for joining us, Derpy. He thinks this could be his favorite movie of the year. And Christian's in the house.
No, we can't say hi to Christian. He doesn't like Top Gun at all. We can't say hi to Christian. I'm sorry. Like, we can't.
Did he not like the sequel? Did he not
I'm
like
not affiliated with her.
He's not watching them at all. So like,
dude, no way.
Like, I dead ass. He just doesn't.
Okay. So, well, I'll say that's literally my only kind of gripe with this film. Everything's positive from here on out.
Can I speak to that though, really quickly?
No, yeah, go ahead.
So with the first film, I actually agree that the Kelly McGillis stuff takes me out of it. Like the take my breath away, and then like he's on his motorcycle taking her out. That took me out of the original. But to Amanda's point, I like Jennifer Connelly. Not only do I like how she was presented and how we kind of just go along for the ride with them, I like the thought that he had somewhere to go home to at the end of the day, because the whole thing with the introduction was Ed Harris, who was fantastic in the 5 minutes he was in. Ed Harris was like, "Hey, you're a dinosaur. The Navy's done with you. You're done. Like, this is the end of the rope." So I liked the idea that it gave him somewhere to go when all was said and done. And I'm also glad he didn't go out in a blaze of glory. So it's nice to know that he rides off into the sunset with Jennifer Connelly and Miles Teller, and they're a big happy family. So I guess it's cheesy in that sense, but I liked where he ended up, if that makes sense.
Same. I agree. Sorry, Ray.
No, I don't disagree. I like where he ended up. For me, I think it comes down to if it was Kelly McGillis and they'd said that he literally left her after the first movie, going off the same beat, what?
Why do they have to say it though? He's a ladies' man. It doesn't make sense to be like, I left this person. He could have dated like 10 other women before Jennifer Connelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's supposed to be labeled as that.
When I personally in the first movie, I felt like that was the whole point of Kelly McGillis's character, was to kind of change that for him and to make him feel like that he could love somebody and have someone around and not just have them going around in a carousel. So
what do you guys think about Wesley's comment here? Because he thinks the love interest was
natural.
I
don't think it. That's why I said if it was Kelly McGillis, it would have felt natural, because I felt like that was the whole point of the relationship in the first movie. Because you do see that in the very first scene in the bar with Goose, is he's a cocky. He makes a bet with Iceman that he can get laid at the bar. You see that instantly, and then he meets his instructor that completely changes his view on his point of view on dating. And I took that McConaughey's character was before McGillis' character, or I don't know, because she knew him in pilot school. So who really knows?
Because I'm assuming whenever he taught for 2 months or whatever, I think that's when Penny was in the picture. That was the feeling I got. But
yeah, I got it was like after. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really.
I got it was
Captain
before,
Marvel.
but that goes back to my thing. He forgot the higher, further, faster, baby.
How the hell do you pull Captain Marvel in a Top Gun?
Bro, because it's so funny. It's so funny.
Just yikes, I can't.
No, see, that is my point. That's literally what I just said. I literally just said that.
But
bro, what are you talking about? I literally just said that. Why are you making that face? I said, have a line and say he left her after the first one.
But why does he have to say that? That doesn't make any sense.
Because I'm already emotionally invested in Kelly McCann.
Are you? I think it's just like more writing.
I like the relationship much better in the first one than I did in this one.
He's the teacher aspect. I think that was more of like a
bro. That's such an 80s thing.
That's what. It's convenient to that time period, whereas this is like two older people who have that gone back and forth, have just like a mutual love and respect.
But you see, that's the thing. I didn't feel like that. That's my whole point. I'm trying to get at. I don't feel that. I don't feel like they've gone back and forth.
I felt it. I think the way she looked at him, the way he looked at her, I felt like it was good enough for the movie. Again, like so you can't do a lot.
I had two things that I really liked about their dynamic. First of all, the boat scene. I really liked that. I thought that was a natural way to show them bonding, like her being a pretty good person on the sea, and Tom Cruise like, oh, I land on boats, I don't drive them, like I thought that was kind of funny. Cute. And then they set it up nicely with he takes her home a couple times, but she closes the door. And I just love in that last little run they had, she leaves the door open, and it's like a little bit of Bruno Mars action in there.
Dude, I'll tell you,
I loved it.
I got way more choked up towards the end when he was saying his goodbyes to his his fucking crew member that helps him get into the jet and talk. Bro, I got more choked up over that than I did with anything he did with McConaughey.
But you're not
That's a
supposed
given,
to
though.
get
Hey, that's a
emotional
given.
with her, though. I think.
Bro, what do you mean?
I
Who's the love interest if you're not supposed to care about her?
I'm not saying I'm gonna cry over them getting together. That doesn't make any
Bro,
sense.
if
I'm happy for
getting
them that they
choked up
did.
over a fucking character that never existed in the first film and only existed 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes in this film previous in the past hour and a half, and you're telling me I shouldn't care about a fucking love interest?
I'm not saying you shouldn't care. I'm saying I
You
shouldn't
literally
be
just
crying
said
about
that,
that.
though.
I said emotional, meaning tears. It's
Yeah,
not-
I would
bro,
say like,
that means you care about that relationship.
but
I don't have to.
me not
cry
shedding a
about
tear for Jennifer Connelly doesn't mean I didn't like her role.
Exactly.
That's not what I said, though.
So, but really quickly, while we're talking about getting choked up, though, I gotta ask you guys. I didn't know Val Kilmer was gonna be in this movie. I stopped watching the trailers after the first teaser, and when I saw Tuesday, I missed the opening credits, so I didn't even know he was gonna be in this. So
God, I saw.
I was totally caught off guard when they actually met. And do we know why Val Kilmer chose? Like, was that a story? Was that a script decision for
What?
him not to have a speaking part?
I think Ryan knows, to be honest.
Oh yeah, bro, you gotta watch his documentary.
Yeah, Ryan.
No,
knows.
dude, I don't know a lot about Val Kilmer.
No,
so.
he got not lung cancer, throat cancer, and he
Yeah.
had his voice box taken out. So that's why he was wearing the scarf to hide the hole. And when I was thinking the whole time I was watching their scene when they were talking, I was particularly paying attention to how they framed the shots if and when he did talk, because I knew that going in that he was in this movie, but I didn't know to what extent, and I didn't know how they were going to curve around it. But when he talks, you notice it's always extreme close up above his neck. So when he talks, he has to hold his thumb on his throat, and so that's how they kind of hit it and did it. And
So
like I said, and they actually hinted at that in his diagnosis with the cancer. Is they said the cancer came back, and that's what happened. He got throat cancer.
And it hurts to speak, right?
It hurts to speak, and he can't speak
Yeah.
without holding the airway because the oxygen. So it's really sad when you look at it through that aspect, but
I did not
it's
know
also super beautiful when you look at it through the filmmaking aspect of the way they did it. And honestly, I was gonna do our favorite scenes, but I'll just say now this is my favorite scene in the film. I think the way they handled his disability was careful, and you know what I gotta say, I was kind of shocked they killed him, especially knowing that they set it up with a cancer coming back diagnosis, and knowing his real life thing. I'm sure that they consulted on that, and it's just crazy knowing the facts of him in this movie. So, like, I'll be honest, I've only ever cried in 2 movies: Marley and Me when that motherfucker died, and Avengers Endgame when Tony died.
No.
This is the closest moment I came to the third time in a theater, because I think understanding a lot of the background behind this, and understanding that a lot of what's going on in the film with his character is an actual real life struggle, it kind of hits you a lot harder, because you understand that even though this is a character, it is also who Val Kilmer is as a person.
Mhm.
And when you're looking at the way they edited it alone, it's also very respectful. And when Tom Cruise is talking to him and then he writes on the computer to write, I forgot what the sentence was in particular that Iceman had written down, but he wrote down a sentence. It was like the last sentence he written down. Tom was like, I don't know how to trust myself or whatever.
It's time to let go.
Yeah,
That's what it was,
I don't know
yeah.
how to let go. And
Yeah.
then the editing just goes back to a still shot of the sentence, and it's just telling the audience that's what he's saying back again. And
Yeah,
I
it's like
like I
emphasizing
said,
the point.
It was
I think Tom Cruise really excelled in certain aspects of this film when it comes to having that extra 2 years and perfecting this movie, because
Yeah.
not we'll get into the jet stuff in a little bit, because the character moments in this are just so beautiful, like this Iceman stuff. And like I said, it was it was hard not to shed a tear, but I didn't shed a tear because I was too busy being jumbled around in 4DX. So
You mean
Poor
while they're
Ryan.
talking?
Poor Ryan.
I don't know, but what are your? I mean, we've got the scene up. What are your thoughts on this scene, guys? I'll leave the floor open.
For me, if you didn't tell me all of that before about Val Kilmer, it still hit, but knowing the background, like you said, I was bawling the second he walked into the room. And it feels like you see these two giants, and like Val Kilmer had a fantastic career in the 80s. And for him to not be able to work because of his condition afterwards, like it's even more heartbreaking that Tom like fought for him to come back and he wanted to rework him into the story. And knowing that they've had such a history together, even with like Ice and Maverick like texting each other, and Ice like having his back and all of that. Like I love that they actually had that history on screen. And then that is what made that scene so freaking beautiful. Apart from, like you said, with the text and all of that, I think that Tom Cruise, like when he was crying during that monologue, like holy shit, that freaking close up, like I was crying because he was crying. And that's the thing, is like you don't expect to be emotional with these characters, but they really sell it. And also like they didn't do too much. Like they could have like made it like excessive, that scene, in regards to like the typing, but they chose like keywords, and like the sentences were so simple and it made an impact because of that. So like it's just phenomenal work from both of them. I was just so happy that we got Val Kilmer on screen like that.
To add to that a little bit, I felt like for Val Kilmer, in an acting perspective, it felt like his truest form as an actor.
Yeah.
And that's really, and Tom Cruise understands that perfectly, and that's why I think this might go down as like one of the best scenes in like film for me, because like it's got the emotion, it's got the character, but most importantly, it's got the fucking heart. And yeah, it's a beautiful scene that I really hope a lot more people talk about coming out of this weekend, because especially looking at it from casting people with disability side, it's great that they're able to work in such a beautiful scene and make it work so well, and to show that even though another reason why I love like a movie like Peanut Butter Falcon is to show that even though people have disabilities, it doesn't stop us from creating amazing art.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, Lo, I'll let you talk. I've been going on.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I mean, you guys, I can't really add much other than what you guys said. I mean, Val Kilmer was brilliant, and just because Wesley White's icon reminds me of it, like the same way with like Coda and the Deaf Family, or even Drive My Car, there is an emotion in the eyes and the way, like their body language, that just emotes, and it's beautiful acting. And Val Kilmer nailed it with, like, Tom Cruise will say something and then you look at his eyes and you could feel Val Kilmer's response almost without him even typing anything.
Exactly.
And lastly, I think like you were saying, Ryan, they built up his moment well, and I liked that when he did speak, he had like 2 lines, but it just hit so perfectly. The way he was just like, the Navy needs Maverick. They need Maverick. That's why you're here. I was just like, oh my god.
It's fantastic.
I teared up. I teared up. I it's just mostly because I admire Val Kilmer as an actor, and I really didn't know his health state for going to this picture. So it was a great moment for me, for sure.
I think Val Kilmer's role as a whole in this movie is a perfect example of like kind of what I was talking about earlier, in just the relationship aspect with Conley and that is you built up their relationship in the first one with him, Maverick and Iceman. They were butting heads. But honestly, watching the movie as an adult, Iceman's not really wrong. Maverick's just like cocky as fucking shit, right?
Yeah.
So
And actually, he calls him out on one of his
Yeah.
things when he was like, "Hey, when you were showboating, where was your wingman?" Like
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
calling him out,
exactly.
like, "Hey,
He
you're
was
leaving
calling
a
him
guy
out.
hanging." Like
showing the audience that he knows his shit. So like even though he was an antagonist towards Tom's character, he wasn't an antagonist towards the movie. You see their relationship build up, but because of the way they framed their character development in this movie and having that bond after that first film and seeing their relationship build up and seeing the kind of respect, you get so much of that and so much of that emotion of just watching Tom walk up to his front door and interacting with his family. And that's the kind of little scene stuff detail that I'm talking about that I kind of want with the Rooster stuff or with the Conley stuff to help build those. It's those little things that help build up because you don't get any of that between these films. You just see them as enemies for 2 hours in the first movie and now they're fucking brothers. So on paper that doesn't really work, but it's those little scenes that help add that little context that really brings home that emotion to show that Tom is not only close to Iceman but to Iceman's family. He knows his wife. He's like, oh, it's back. And she's like, I didn't tell anyone first. It's those small little details that I feel like they could have implemented for those other relationships a little bit better. And I'm glad we're talking about Iceman because I feel like that's what I was trying to get towards.
I love him.
Loretto, you're muted, my man.
Oh, I was gonna say Christian's dropping knowledge. I didn't know this. He says there's no green screen or CGI aerial shots.
Oh, you
And
didn't
even
know
the
that?
close-ups.
No,
Well,
like
I
nothing.
knew that they were in the planes, but I thought some of the plane work was CG. It's all real.
No, dude, it's all real, bro. Every plane is real, and I'm pretty sure for all the face-up actors, like the face-up close-up shots, other than Tom Cruise did his own flying. So
Yeah.
when you're seeing him fly, he's really flying. But the other actors, they were just put in like I think testing. They were put under training to undergo that amount of G's because while they might not have been flying the plane, they hired people to fly the planes. They were still in the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are
right.
so.
So they're
So when
really
you
reacting.
see them hitting
They're
those
so cool.
G's, bro, that's why you see their face just sink in, and it just adds to the bro. I think this movie is just a masterclass in how you film it.
You know what's
Yeah.
impressive too is
love
when you
it.
look, especially in the final act, some of the scenes where you see how low Tom Cruise is flying.
Oh, dude, it's
Like,
scary.
It's like, dude, that guy is a madman. Like
That
that's just impressive.
F-14 on the runway was
Yeah.
illegal and they had to like override it while filming. He wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to do that. Like he almost got in shit for that. He's like, I'm Tom
Okay.
Cruise. Screw you, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, I don't want to be in the back of that. So Miles Teller's just sitting like, okay, we're gonna actually do this. But it's wild. That whole third act, all the twists, like it's one of my
should've-
favorite things ever. But yeah.
We should have brought Christian on this show. He's got all these like factoids here.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
I mean,
Christian.
it's true. How are you gonna get those fucking shots?
Just phenomenal stuff.
Yeah,
I do want to mention the beach scene because that it was rugby they were playing, and
Football.
it was it.
That
I don't
was
know.
totally football.
Okay, fine, it was football.
This is an
Regardless.
American picture.
It was football,
What's
but like
rugby?
I just love that they were playing as a team. They were beautiful as a team. It was great. And then John Hamm just like standing there like, but what the hell are you guys doing? You're like, you're wasting my time. And I actually really love the scenes between John Hamm and Tom Cruise because like I was reading an article and John Hamm was like so intimidated, but like Top Gun was one of his favorite movies as a kid. So he's like, I will be the caterer for this freaking picture. I don't care, put me in. And then he has to like be mad at Tom Cruise like the entire time, which is hilarious.
I was kind of
But-
shocked to see John Hamm in a good portion of this movie.
Yeah,
I
I was really happy.
I was kind of expecting him to be in the Patrick Harris role, you know, where he's just in it for
Mm.
5 minutes and then he's just gone as one of the generals. But I really liked how his relationship with Tom Cruise and Maverick played out throughout the film. How they're at odds. The actors playing what? Laura, would
Oh
you
no, I just
explain
hell of
that?
agree with this because
Oh,
in the first
oh,
movie it's like
I thought it was a comment.
volleyball, and
I
it's
mean,
like shirtless,
they
greasy
didn't have to
volleyball.
explain
No,
it.
so-
They
But
didn't have to explain
they
it.
gave this scene meaning in this picture.
Right.
And we
Loretto,
talked about this
yes.
yesterday.
But it's
Yeah.
okay because like I can watch them play volleyball like that all day, so it's good.
Yeah.
But in the first
It's
one, it
not-
comes out of nowhere. You just
I
see the
know.
ball,
It's just
and then
hot.
it's like,
It's just
okay.
dudes playing
And they were
volleyball,
like-
trying to look
They were
good.
like sweating, like someone had to spray them, and I'm like, "Where's
Yeah,
that
they were
job for
spraying
me?
them.
God
Yeah,
bless
yeah,
Glenn
I got-
Powell, and that's really great.
So I gotta say, I really like Glenn Powell in this, but I wish we had more of him.
Honestly,
I
want a
was
third
so-
movie.
Dude, as soon as when Maverick was choosing the team of 6 he was gonna go on, or no, team of 5, sorry, because John Hamm's like, you can be the mission leader for this one, Maverick. I changed my mind because Iceman's dead now, and you gave me some motivation. I was like, fuck. Well, there he goes. He's out of the third act. He literally only shows up to save the day, unfortunately. But I really liked Glenn Powell in this, and I think this movie does a really good job at setting up for a sequel or a franchise without Tom Cruise. I should say, not even
Literally.
sequel, because like honestly, I think what they did and differentiated with this movie compared with the first one, I think with the first movie, Top Gun was so different for its time because they made a military movie without action, and the fact that someone died in that without having any real consequences up until the very end when they had to do their mission, and Iceman and Maverick had to come and be brothers at the end, be each other's wingman. It was very different for the time because when you hear war, you hear 2.5 hours nonstop, absolute brutal platoon. But that's what you picture when you hear war films. So it took a very different approach in that aspect, and I think this film did the same thing for a new generation, and I think they can keep doing that. And wow, between the way this movie was filmed and the way they structured it in terms of what the mission actually needs to be done to be successful in terms of the mission's complete and not everyone coming home, it adds a degree of uncertainty that I feel like the first movie had to a certain extent, but not to the level of this movie. When you see it in the first one, it's more of just aerial dogfight combat and not being able to come back out of that alive. With this, it's, man, if you're not within this capacity, which is a very small margin, you're fucked. And if you're fucked, we're all fucked. And if we're all fucked, the mission's fucked. And it adds this great gravitas that just, wow, dude, that 2.5 minutes, my heart was beating. From the time they took off to the ship, they went listening to Tom Cruise be like, go into attack formation. Dude, you're just like, holy shit. And you're
Sweating.
watching Rooster trying to overcome his inner conflict of not pushing his limits.
My God,
Dude, it's
when he says "Talk to me, Dad," oh, I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I was like, that was perfect. But to add to what Ryan was saying, for me, it's like having Maverick as a teacher. It added to the stakes and added to the tension because he was learning from his mistakes from the first one, and then he was teaching them what not to do, and I love that. And then you had like a little bit of Maverick in each of the pilots, but they found it within themselves and you could see that. So my, like, talking about favorite scenes, I think when Rooster is in behind Maverick and he's like coaching him through his like just do, don't think type of thing, and he's like everything that he learned in school from Maverick, he's telling Maverick to do it right before the dog fight. And it was just like so great that each of them learned something, including Hangman, who was like cocky as hell, and then he ended up going to save them. So I think that it was just a perfect movie for the title character. I think that they really nailed Top Gun Maverick, and it's one of the sequels and one of the only films recently that has stayed true and contained to the character that's listed in the title, to be honest. But yeah, I love that they just learned something from him in their own way, and that just like bumped everything in the third act, like all those twists for every single character. So it's just perfect for me.
You know, and I love that you brought that up, Ryan, because the reason why this movie is so successful is because it's focused. Whereas the previous film, it's like Tom Cruise is going to school, fucking his teacher. Oh shit, there's danger at the end. And I didn't understand the threat in the first film. But here we understand the mission. They explain it to us, they practice it, they drill it, they explain the danger, and then they do it. And it's awesome. And even like Tom Cruise showing them it could work is exciting. And it's like the way they presented this, it was about the mission, and I really liked that. And I thought it was interesting that they didn't kill off any of the young cast. I'm glad they didn't, actually. That was a subverted expectation that I enjoyed, but because I noticed that with the first film it was Goose, and with this one we had enough to carry with Iceman. So I'm really happy that, you know, they really made this a feel-good story and we weren't mourning anybody else. I mean, I was already sad at Iceman's funeral. So I'm actually glad that they didn't kill off any of the principal young cadets. So, but the mission is just so breathtaking. It's such a fun ride. Like you, Ryan, I was on the edge of my seat for 3 minutes. I couldn't breathe.
I gotta say, when the two flight scenes of them just training with Tom Cruise and Maverick, the two in particular is when the bird blows the engine out, bro. That was like fucking heart racing, because I didn't think they'd do it again, having, you know, people die during the test flight. But I'm glad they didn't. But really good editing, bro. Really good editing, really good filmmaking. And then yet again, when him and Rooster go into the nosedive spiral, bro. I was about to be like, holy shit, bro. They're fucking crazy. like I'm like, bro, flying the jet's crazy enough for me, but
the nose
fucking spiraling down like that from each other and just like breaking at the 200-foot mark. Holy fuck, dude. Get out of here. Like that I was literally sweating on that one. That one definitely got me sweating a little bit.
The stakes are high, like even in the Mission Impossible films, because you know that they're actually doing like that's why. Yeah. So like that's why I love the Mission Impossible films, because you know that Tom Cruise is doing majority of the stunts, and that's why it elevates the action entirely. So like literally sweating during this movie, sweating like it's so bad. I was watching people in the theater because I had already seen it. It was my second time, and then people were like clapping, they were like leaning forward, and like they were like freaking clutching themselves, like what's gonna happen. Like everyone was just so into it, and that's what makes such a perfect movie going experience, is that you feel like you're in it with them. And I just think that the stakes wouldn't have been as high if people didn't know that they were actually doing it. So it's just wicked.
Oh no, yeah, easily. There's so much to love about this movie. Like I said, besides the Jennifer Connelly stuff.
He makes a good point, Manda. Wesley was saying Top Gun and Mission Impossible is the exact reason we just stuck category in the Oscars.
You know what?
I've been saying that for like a year and a half now, bro.
I feel like Tom's gonna win an honorary eventually, because I mean,
bro,
he won the Palme d'Or for it.
If you can die, bro. If there's an award ceremony where there's no category where one of the main concerns is dying, what are y'all really doing? Like come on. Some of these stunt actors are fucking crazy. Like shameless plug for Corridor Crew. They do a Stuntmen React series, and just listening to some of the stories and it just gave me a lot more. Just made me appreciate stunts and stunt men and women much more, because that's literally what this movie is a stunt and technical film achievement in every respect. Because I really want to watch a documentary of behind the scenes of this movie.
They need to release something. I can't wait for that freaking 4K.
Yeah, no, they need to. But I think we're all in agreement that I think they have a really good cast to set up future movies, and to have Tom Cruise still kind of be the producer side and still be able to control things in the technical aspects.
Yes.
But when it comes to acting, take more of that mentorship role. And I feel like, especially with Mission Impossible ending, I feel like he's going to want to start taking some more back burner roles. And I feel like, especially with flying, I don't think he'll be doing as much as Mission Impossible, bro. Homie's jumping off the side of a cliff with a fucking motorcycle and a parachute on the back of his back.
You know what's sad though? Like, you could see him getting older.
Oh, dude, I felt so bad when you see him for the press junket for this movie, and then when you actually watch the movie, you see the 2019 and 2022 year difference between them.
Literally, but not only that, there was that scene where I'm gonna mention Jennifer Connelly, Ryan. I'm really sorry.
No, you
but
should.
There's that scene where like he's like shirtless and he's sitting in bed and they're talking, and I just looked at him and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I guess because I watched Days of Thunder like literally last night.
Like, Tom Cruise, you're old as fuck, bro.
No, but it's like he still has the same like essence of who he was, but like you could tell that like this isn't the
you can definitely tell he's starting to get a little tired with this stuff. And I want to shout out this opening to this movie. Fucking one of the best openings to movies ever. Like, insanely breathtaking. But I do want to ask something. Okay. So in the beginning, they set up this whole thing about going Mach 10, right? Like the F-14s, they can't go. The maximum I think they said was Mach 7.5, right? And they can't go past that. But that's what they use for the mission, right? And they only say that they can't go past 7.5, but I want to ask them, like, have you guys ever attempted it? Because it seemed to happen pretty easily for all 4 Mach 14s that you used on the mission. But
you mean the F-18s?
Yeah. No. Yeah, the F-18. Sorry, they're not the Mach 14s.
It almost makes the intro feel a little bit less relevant.
That's what I'm saying. And you look at the ship they're using, and I'm like, bro, this shit looks like some alien tech. And you're telling me 10.3 is burning this thing out? Bro, your model from fucking 1986 is holding up pretty well. So when I look at the ending in that aspect, it didn't lower it, but I'm like, I don't think the setup for that was as strong when you really look back at it.
Yeah. I was still
why you gotta make that face, bro?
Because for me it was like they didn't know that it could hit that until Mav hit that, because he.
But that's my point. Why couldn't they attempt it?
Because they were scared they were gonna die. Like, what do you mean? Of course, if they could see someone do it, because Mav's like, the only way I'm gonna be able to succeed, and the only way these pilots are gonna be able to succeed in this and think that they're not gonna die, basically, is if I prove to them that
So your argument is that they didn't want to risk anybody's life, right?
Well, yeah, that was the whole.
But they're willing
of Maverick's teaching.
Okay, if you say so. Yes, Lo.
That's the first.
No, I was gonna say. I actually kind of agree with you. I think that it takes away from the beginning, and I think that when
beautiful
Tom Cruise
too.
When he does the simulation and he hits, like, if he would have hit 9, I'd have been like, ooh, oh shit. But like, it's like he didn't have to hit 10, and he actually hits 10 on the actual bombing run, which was kind of weird. It's like
I noticed that too.
Possible?
Like, so I didn't get this. So in the beginning they specify, Maverick, you only need to do 10, nothing higher, not 10.1, not 10.2, because they know who Maverick is. He'll try to achieve more. But at the end, they achieved more with the shittier machine that they said couldn't achieve that, but then they focus on him going exactly on the number they told him that they needed him to. Like, I don't get what that they were trying to say there.
Yeah, no, it's a minor nitpick, but at the same time, though, I agree with you. I feel like that showing the mock in the finale, it's like we could have done without it. Like, I didn't even know how fast he was going.
I think it just kind of undermines the beginning for me.
It does.
But yeah, like it's a nitpick, but like it doesn't take anything out. It's kind of it's a filmmaking type of point of view, and
this is the same reason why Independence Day, when you think all hope is lost, and then here comes Randy Quaid, I'm gonna save the day, boys. Like, you just go with it. You kind of just go with it. Like, where the hell did he come from? I don't know, but he's gonna save the day now. So
I think this. So also a little nitpick is
another one.
No, so it kind of goes to, I don't think they really succeeded their mission, or no, the bombers succeeded their mission, but not the bombers you think. The ones who had to bomb the running way failed their mission, because their mission was to take out the runway, so there was no more planes and that there was nothing to take off in, right?
Well, they actually mentioned in the briefing, because I saw it again today, they mentioned that it helps eliminate extra air support, but if there's planes already in the air, they can't do anything about that. And that's where those two bandits came from. Because the two bandits come off radar. Like, they were already in the air.
Yeah.
My thing is the plot convenience in when they go to the base that they bombed, and there's conveniently one plane there.
I know.
That's not bombed.
It was the F-14, right?
Yeah,
and it had to be Rooster and Maverick. And
I wouldn't have had that any other way. I don't give a fuck how plot convenient that was. That was awesome. Like,
it was great. I was like, okay. It's fine.
So, like, another thing, when they take off and they kind of focus on them breaking the landing gear, I was like, I find that kind of odd that they focus on that, because I would imagine that the military has a backup for this, right? So I don't know if they did that to add like tension to, because
it made the takeoff more exciting, if I'm being honest. Like,
did it?
Like, oh shit,
lost the landing gear. Oh, what else is gonna happen?
I'm like, okay.
And it also cracked me up how right when they're about to land, like, Miles Teller was like, did we just lose an engine?
It was so funny. He's like, okay, all right, I won't tell you. It was like, okay. And then they have the net. Like, I think the landing gear was set up for the net to look cool, because even when the plane was like crashing on the runway.
No, I don't disagree.
Like, that scene was so cool. Like, that shot right there was sick.
I'm just saying, I felt like the way they edited it was like, the way they edited wanted you to focus it on a way of like more tension based.
Yeah, of course, that's exactly.
But like, I'm thinking like, but they're the military. Why would I be scared? Like, they got a way to catch you.
Because you don't know how to fly a plane, Ryan, and then you're sitting there like, oh shit, what are they gonna do?
Bro, land in the water. That's what every fucking great Air 762, whatever the fucking airplanes are called, flight pamphlets say. No,
but you're okay.
No, shut up. Did anyone
attacked by a critter?
Did anyone else feel like the ending was kind of dragged out a little bit? Because when I mean dragged out, I feel like they gave us the death scare one too many times, especially with Maverick. They're like, oh no, he died. Oh no, he's gonna die again. Oh no, he's setting himself up to die. Like, how many more times are you gonna set us up for him to die when he's not gonna die?
I did not care, because that whole setup, first of all, I was sweating, like I said.
No, the first setup is great, but I'm just talking about as it goes on. Like,
they had to get Rooster in the back with Maverick. That was the whole situation, and that's what it was. You're like, oh shit, he died. Then no, Rooster went to go save him, and then oh shit, Rooster went down, and then okay, now they have to be together, and then they have to be in the plane. Like, those psych jobs were fine, but they had to find a way to get Rooster with Maverick. That's what it was.
And also, I think
that goes into my thing. Sorry, Lo. They had to find a way because they put Jennifer Connelly in this movie and didn't want to focus on it earlier.
No, it's not, because listen. Sorry, Lo. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say,
I'm gonna start arguing
the reason why the third act just just is aces for me is because I thought for sure he was gonna die. I thought
that's
that
what I'm
was the whole-
saying.
I thought that
thought
was the
for
whole
sure he was
point
gonna
of this.
die.
Like, this is his last hurrah, and then the way he says goodbye to his other officers on the ship, you know, that got me. That got me, and I was like, you know what? Fuck, Tom Cruise is gonna die. I thought he was gonna die when he got in front of the missile for Rooster. I was like, fuck, he's dead.
I was dying.
So the fact that he didn't, I think it was
Yeah.
a pleasant surprise in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, the film easily could have ended on that final act of the bombing, but it was like, wait, there's more, and I was like, yes, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then we get to the landing, and it's like, oh my god, okay, they're free, and it's like I don't know. I thought it was part of the ride. That's at least for me. So
just to add to Loretto, the line that they were talking, like Rooster wanted to say something to Maverick. The second that Maverick said, "Oh, don't worry, tell me when we get back," I'm like, no, you don't ever say that. And that's when I literally started crying the first time. I'm like, they're gonna kill him all. I'm like, you don't say it. And then like all those twists, like the writing, just everything. That was the line. I'm like, you never say that. You don't say it. They don't make him back from that. So
As soon as John Hamm made him team leader, I'm like, oh man, John Hamm knows he wants to kill himself too. That's instantly what I thought. I instantly thought he was like, oh man, he just wants to die. You know what? If it means a successful mission, might as well. They clearly don't care about the young ones, so why the fuck would they care about Maverick?
Yeah.
But yeah, what's up to Doug Brown? He says he liked it, didn't hate it. A little bit too much throwback, but the action was amazing. Thanks for joining us, Doug.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this movie was pretty fucking exhilarating. But would you guys agree with me and say this is one of the best, if not the best, films of 2022 so far?
It's the best for me. Like it's top 5.
It's
I haven't
the best
seen
for
everything.
me.
I haven't seen everything all at once yet. Everything everywhere all at once yet.
Well,
but
that's
Top
because
Gun
you live in
Maverick-
Canada, Loretto.
It might crack my top 5.
I
But
thought
no,
that-
look,
yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is my 1. Batman's up there. Petite Maman's up there.
Everything's my number 2, Lo. Everything's my
Multiverse of
number
Madness
2.
I liked more than this. So I mean, that's just
No
bias. in
way,
my
Loretto.
opinion.
Okay,
That's my bias.
We're not gonna have that
That's my bias. So.
Well, okay, Loretto, you just sparked a flame in me. We gotta revoke your nerd card.
We don't.
I'm sorry.
We don't talk about it. We're just not gonna talk about it. Anyways,
I'm sorry.
Wesley, thank you
Damn
for the
this slander.
question.
I am a Sam Raimi fan, guys. Get
It's
out.
great. So
Like,
Wesley says, off topic, and as much as I
I
love
watched-
Danger Zone from Kenny Loggins. Wait, we're not
Army
gonna
of
talk about-
Darkness the other
But
night.
but can we agree that Lady Gaga killed it with Hold My Hand? Yes, she was great. Also, I don't think it's much of a banger as Danger Zone because Danger Zone opened the movie.
Dude, Danger Zone, bro.
It's
Nothing
just a
gets more
vibe.
iconic than Danger Zone.
It was just a vibe. I think that it was more of like a happy ending type of song, and it worked for the end of it. But Danger Zone.
Put it in perspective. Danger Zone was so iconic that when they made the song, they literally only used the song throughout the film. That's how
Yeah.
iconic they knew that fucking
So
song
good.
would be.
I love it.
But guys, I just want to say let's get into some final wrap-ups and some
Ooh.
grades. So, Loretto, what would you grade this film out of 10? And give us your final thoughts.
Oh boy, Doug Brown just pissed Loretto off. It's okay.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm not even gonna go
joking.
there. This is a
I'm
Top Gun show, so I'm
joking.
gonna stay on topic. Shouts out to my boy Sam Raimi, though. That's my boy right there. Honestly, I mean, I said it earlier. I mean, I just came out of the theater like not an hour ago before the show. I couldn't stop smiling that the last 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's just such an exhilarating experience. Like anyone that hasn't seen it just has to see it just to see it. Just the ride alone, I think it's worth the price of admission. And also shouts out, the line that really got me, I got really choked up before I left the theater, was Maverick was telling Rooster like, hey man, you didn't have to save my life. And he was like, well, that's what my dad would have done.
Yeah.
Like, close the presses, like, oh dude, oh that got, and then they hugged, and I was like, oh man, that got me. That really got me. Miles Teller killed it, man. He had like 10 lines in this movie, but he really made them count, and I think he did a great job. Overall, it's a perfect summer blockbuster. I can't say take away from that. I wouldn't call it the best film of the year, but it's definitely outstanding cinema. To get our blood pumping, to get us on the edge of our seats, to film it the way they did with the real actors inside of the planes, that's just top notch. That's cinema right there. So
Cinema, baby, preach.
All that being said, it doesn't hold a candle to my top 3, but I actually would give this a 9 out of 10. I gave it a 4.5 on Letterboxd, so it's a 9 for me.
So Loretto's a hater. Multiverse of Madness is not better. That's just a fact. But Amanda, your turn.
Yeah.
No, y'all made it seem like I was gonna hate this or something.
Yeah.
No, you
No,
definitely
you're
no.
fine.
You might as well have hated it with that score.
Oh my god. I love this movie. I cried from beginning to end. I really love that it was a little bit for everyone. I absolutely love this cast. I would love to see Rooster and Phoenix and the whole gang back and Hangman back. I really want to see them. Because I also miss Miles Teller on screen. And I didn't realize how much I missed him on screen until I watched Maverick because this was such a golden
They're
role
about to
for
say
him.
Fantastic Four for a second. Shut.
No, I don't think he's made anything since like that around that time, or unless I'm wrong. I don't know if he's done.
I'll let you know in a second.
Anyways, yeah, go on IMDb with that one. I'm pretty sure it was like 2015, 16 is the last one. But like Loretto said, this is it's a summer movie. It feels like a summer movie. This is like what blockbusters should thrive for. Wesley, I completely agree with you. This is one of the best sequels of all time. And I was just very impressed with it. I was like, from Christopher McQuarrie to Joseph Kosinski, who should do more action films. My God, hire him for everything because his direction, impeccable. It was so great. I really love this. I literally want to take everyone to go watch this, and you have to watch it on the biggest screen possible for the sound, for the visuals, all of that. And the score is really, really good too. Like it just elevated all of it. For me, this is like 9.5. Honestly, it's a 10 out of 10 if I really want to say it. Watching it a second time.
Say it with your chest, Amanda.
No, yeah. It's 10 out of 10. I gotta say it. Yeah, I gotta say it. It's my favorite movie of the year right now. And for me, it's just, you feel everything. And this is the first time since like maybe No Way Home last year where I was sitting there like, holy shit, like this is amazing. And it's the first like movie that's non-superhero that made me feel something like this. And it was a fantastic movie going experience. It's true. Like I've never had that kind of, like,
I can literally just see CBM Twitter cutting that clip and just be like, "Oh my God, bro! Could you imagine just living a life only watching comic book movies, and you finally get cinema like Top Gun Maverick to change your mind?"
it was fantastic. So
I
10,
know.
10.
I know.
Tom Cruise needs an honorary Oscar for his stunts. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll start the campaign today.
Yeah, my dude's got bigger balls than planet Earth itself. But guys, I gotta agree. One of like some of the emotional scenes for me that we didn't even bring up were some of the Goose scenes where he's just like asking Goose for guidance, and it's just heartwarming to see that he's still in his heart with him, still looking for him for advice even after everything. And it's the beautiful little moments in the movie that really make it for me.
And the talk to me Goose, because he says that in the original film at the very end as well, and it's just like, oh,
I forgot he said that at the end.
he does.
The first
he
time
said it
he
again
said
here.
it,
I was,
like, do you understand? Like tears, and there were people weeping. Like there were older men in my screening crying. It was perfect. Sorry, I just had to add that because everyone's crying and it's great.
Well, I sure as hell didn't cry, but you know what I am crying about? I am finally giving a score of a 9.5 to a movie. It's about time that I give something over a 9 because actually no, I thought
you were gonna give it lower considering all the things you were.
I gave everything everywhere.
Right.
Bro, what are you talking about?
Every time.
I thought Jennifer Connelly was gonna bring this down to like
I
an
thought
8.
it was gonna be like an 8, 7 out of 10. Because
Dude, bro, you guys just fucking hate me. Just admit that shit.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks for coming.
But thank you, Doug, and thank you guys so much for coming out and listening to us banter about another Tom Cruise film, because I gotta say, I've kind of missed seeing an action or just like a current day Tom Cruise film, because my man's just been killing it in the game recently, and Top Gun Maverick is killing it. And honestly, I think this movie, predictions are saying it's going to make bank, and honest to God, I think it's going to make some bank considering what this type of film is. I think it's going to rack up at least 100 million this weekend, which is you love to see it, especially in not post-pandemic since we're still in it,
Still
but
own, yeah.
pandemic still going on. It's great to see that films of this caliber can still kind of strive in this atmosphere, and shows that real talent and real craftsmanship can still thrive in a world that seems very convoluted with the CBM stuff and jam-packed with the CBM stuff. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching us and telling us what you guys thought about this movie, because we all clearly loved it so much. And we are brought to you by the Music City Drive-In Network. Great group of people over there. Go check them out. We love being partnered with them. And guys, check us out on Twitter and Instagram at the Suit Up Geeks. Give us a like and follow. Give us a retweet. Give us some sort of shit to make us feel like this is some type of worthwhile. Yes, I've gotten to the point of begging, because begging is the ultimate epitome of my life at this point. And guys, on YouTube, smack that like, comment, and subscribe button down below. And tell us what you thought of this movie in the comments if you were just watching it this weekend, because we know it is Thursday. It's opening tonight, and a lot of people are seeing it tonight. So I'm curious to see what a lot of our mutuals say that haven't seen it yet. So from Loretto, from Amanda, from me, we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.